afternoon and the end of a 3-day workshop with us. It looks like it's been a great deal of fun. And let me just first say how pleased I am to look out and see an audience that is, frankly, quite a bit more diverse than the statistics audiences that I often talk to. So thank you all again for being here. I thought I would do very quickly is go around from your left to your right and ask each of our panelists to very briefly introduce themselves. Then I will lead us through a few questions, but fairly quickly open it up to discussion from the floor. And the last thing to say is just, we're booked in until 4:30, but it is Friday afternoon, and we're happy to go for as long as you'd like, but we have no intention of keeping you here any longer than you would like to be. So thank you again, and let me now ask David to start us off by introducing himself.
I don't actually think I need to introduce myself since I did this at some length on Wednesday.
Fair enough.
I just said David Hammond, Vera College, Trinity Capital, on the board of the UKSA, various other things which we know all about now.
Thank you. Jil.
Jil Matheson. David has already called me an anomaly. And that's because I'm the one here who has not been throughout. I haven't heard what the others have had to say, but I am delighted to be here. One of the reasons I've not been able to be here before is because I'm actually retired from my day job, which means that I get holidays. And indeed I've had a holiday this summer, but retain of course a huge interest in statistics and the work of the statistics profession. By background, I spent most of my career as a survey researcher, and then did a variety of jobs in official statistics, and for 5 years was National Statistician, which involved the Chief Executive of the UK Statistics Authority.
Excellent. Andrew?
Well, very recently, the Statistics Authority on the board was at York College, Oxford, and I really am an anomaly because I'm really an economist, not a statistician. We keep that going.
I love it. And Ruth?
Again, as David said, I think you all know my history possibly better than I do after yesterday's talk. So I'm Ruth King, and I'm now at University of Edinburgh, and I'm Animal from the Muppets. Those of you, sorry, on the panel who were not at my talk yesterday, that will not mean anything to you.
We'll take it. And so my name's Patrick. I was very briefly introduced at the beginning. I'm a member of the departments of statistics and of computer science here at UCL. I came to UCL by way of many years at Harvard. I was trained over here at the University of Cambridge in engineering, computer science, and statistics. And I've spent most of my past 18 months helping to set up the UK's new National Institute for Data Science, which arguably could be said to be a discipline that's the sort of core to modern statistics and modern statistical thinking. So I'll bring a little bit of that experience to the panel, but of course what I'm most excited about is to hear from our panelists, and then, as I said, to sort of open it up to all of your questions from the audience. No holds barred, no topic is off limits, and just to kick things off, I'll remind you that the panel is, or the discussion is entitled Future Challenges in Statistics. And so I think of this in many different facets. There are technical challenges, there are training challenges, there are challenges to our modern ways of working in interesting multifaceted statistical contexts. There are also challenges for the discipline of statistics, the academic discipline of statistics, and challenges for statistics as a profession. It's a relatively young science, if you like, and so I'm eager to sort of hear a little bit about that from everyone on the panel. But let me, of course, start off with perhaps the most central question. As we think about future challenges in statistics, do you, panel members, think that they're likely to be largely technical and mathematical, or are they really more about people, interdisciplinary ways of working, different models of teaming, working together, and also data new technologies are constantly coming out. There are new modalities of data collection, new questions that people want to ask and answer of data. So again, future challenges, are they likely to be largely technical, mathematical, do you think, or are they more likely to be about people or modalities of data? And let me just return back to Andrew, David, excuse me, who started us off, and then we'll do a different ordering of round robin.
Okay, thanks. So, I recall that when I worked at the Open University, while I was there were several different vice-chancellors, but I'm telling you that so that you can't identify the particular one I'm talking about. He, at one stage, irritated by what he saw as the academics' resistance to change, harangued us by saying that we should see challenges as opportunities. And I can remember picturing myself standing in the centre of a field with a bull charging towards me and being delighted at the opportunity. But in fact, maybe from the perspective of the discipline of statistics, as far as statistics is concerned, maybe he's right. I think one of the key drivers for the development for the future of statistical methodology is the challenge presented by new application areas. I think that's one of the two key things which lead to statistical development. The other is computing. We'll talk about that later. So we get new problems, new classes of problems, new kinds of data. All of these require new kinds of methodology, new kinds of questions. Recently, you think of small m, big P problems in bioinformatics, and complexity problems in social networks, which Patrick's an expert on, or real-time updating models in a whole variety of situations become very important. So my answer to this question is that I think the future challenges are likely to arise from new kinds of data and new application domains, and that the real future challenges will be technical challenges requiring the development of new methodology.
Excellent. Ruth?
I think I largely agree with David on that, but I think the other thing as well, when you have these new applications of data coming through, is the communication with people that know the data as well. It's very easy to look at data and think, great, I'll look at this, develop some new models and fit them to it, but if you don't understand the data, that doesn't make any sense. So I think coupled with the drive in the new technologies and new data, it's also that interdisciplinarity that's really vital there. And the communication with subject-specific people that know how to collect the data, and also the computing side, talking to computer scientists. So I think stats is quite this is going to come up later, the word data science is going to come up quite a lot, I suspect, and I think stats is the key linchpin in data science, and that's where things are going, at least in the near future.
Now, Ruth, the challenges that you've identified, do you think they're different substantively from the challenges in the past, or do you see it more as have you seen over the course of your career the same challenges or new ones emerging?
The challenges are often the same, but the methodology is often different, and I think the easiest example of seeing that is big data. You can have the same problem with data, but the actual amount of data you have is suddenly swamped, you can't use the past techniques.
Thank you. Next, let me turn to Andrew for his comments on the question.
So, I think there are huge technical, mathematical and statistical challenges, but I feel very confident that they'll be met. Not necessarily by British statisticians, but around, we've got a massive community of technically competent people around the world, and I think they'll be met. So I think they're big challenges, but I'm not worried about them. What I'm worried about people, and I'm worried not just about people like you and us, I'm actually worried about the rest of the community. So I think one of the big challenges we face as a statistical community, is, to go back to something Ruth said, is finding ways of communicating effectively the wisdom we think we can extract from data through statistical methods to people, and helping them understand why what we're doing is really, really important. And I think related to that is the shift in data. So I'm a grubby economist, and for economists, there's a tendency to think the most important thing we can possibly know is what happened to the overall size of the economy in the last 3 months. Well, that was a really exciting thing to know 70 years ago when the national accounts were framed, and that was a huge intellectual step forward. But now, for that to be the limit of our ambitions, frankly, pathetic, given the volume of data that's out there and the richness of it. And so I think the challenge to us as statisticians, and the challenge to the consumers of statistics, is to say, given how much we now in principle can do, we've really got to change the whole way in which people think about it. And you sitting here might think, oh, well, that's relatively easily done. But if you look at the way, Jill's just finished an analysis of the use of statistics for the BBC. If you look at the way that the media consumes statistics, what they're desperate for, and the same is true of politicians, is the latest estimate, the latest point estimate of the first differential of some big aggregate. Well, the latest estimate of the first differential of some big aggregate is not uninteresting, but there's an awful lot that's much more interesting than that. And I think we've got to be a part of changing the culture so that our whole public and our whole decision-making process is interested in stuff that's much richer, and that ties into some of the technical challenges. Finding ways of describing what's going on in the changing distributions of stuff that isn't just summarising in a single number, and using more of the richness, I think, a huge challenge at that kind of public debate.
Thank you. And finally, Jill.
When I thought about this question, I actually went backwards as well. I didn't quite see a ball coming towards me, but also ended up being fairly optimistic, and I'll explain why. I too remember being in a discussion at an RSS conference some years ago when the question was a bit different. It was, what had been the biggest development? What's the biggest development in statistics over the last 100 years or 150 years? You may even have been there, David. That would be an anomaly. People talked about methods. They talked about data. Some of them went back even further and talked about the importance of things like death registration systems and birth registration systems, so that you could understand patterns of mortality and fertility. They talked about computing. And I remember talking about sampling theory,